There are 10 equipment mistakes that you're making in your bag setup, but what are they? Mistake number 1 is probably the biggest I see across all amateurs, and it's that none of you get your clubs fit. See, this club weighs way too much than I would typically use, and it's also a more forgiving club head. Having clubs that are not fitted for you is really not going to give you the best performance. Now, I bang on about getting fit for your clubs all the time, but let's be realistic. How many of you actually go and get your clubs fit? It's the biggest factor that's going to affect your performance. In some fittings I've had this year, I've gained 30 to 40 yards with driver just by having it fit properly. And I don't think you can really emphasise how much precision you can get in your iron play by having the whole club set up right for you. There's so many factors to get right. Have I got the right club head? Have I got the right lie angle, the right shaft, the right grip, the right length of club? It's going to be really hard for you to figure that out on your own. So please, just go and get a proper club fitting. Now, for those of you who have been for a fitting, well done, and also let us know in the comments below just how much it's helped your game so we can educate everyone else. Mistake number 2, carrying clubs you don't use. If you're gonna lug a heavy bag around the golf course, it might as well be full of equipment that you're actually gonna make the most of. Let's face it, most people barely use a 3-wood, so what's the point in carrying it? If you don't feel comfortable hitting it off the deck, why not go for a 5-wood instead? Or even put a 5-wood shaft in it to make it a little bit easier to hit. And what about those long irons? Do you actually hit them, or do they all go the same distance? If you've got long irons that all travel the same distance, why not swap them out for a hybrid? Or go for a bigger offering in terms of model. So I use the Titleist T100S up to my 6 iron, and then in my 5 iron I swap to the T200 model. That's going to give me a little more height and a little bit more distance, and means I actually get some use out of that 5 iron. Mistake number 3, putting your old driver shaft into your new driver head. This might make sense to you, especially if you're being fitted for the current driver shaft. But the reality is that each club head kind of works with a different shaft. Now, every time manufacturers redesign club heads, they're designed to have different properties. Different launch, different spin, different CG. So putting the same shaft into a different club head isn't necessarily going to give you the right level of performance. Now, this is especially going to be true if you're switching between different models or even different brands. So the best thing to do is, if you move into a new driver head, make sure you have a fitting and get the right shaft that matches up to give you the best performance. Mistake number 4, constantly changing golf ball. Using a different model every time you play, or even different golf balls during each round, is really going to affect your perception and control of each shot. How do you know what the ball's going to do off the tee and when it lands into the green if you've got a different type of ball every time? Some people completely switch from high-end premium balls down to a lot cheaper models, and the control levels are going to be completely different. So if you really want to up that consistency, the best thing to do is to play with the same model throughout, and also to actually practice your short game with those balls instead of using range balls, because it's going to give you a lot better feel and control of your shots. Mistake number 5, being egotistical about what clubs you pick. Let's face it, we're just not the same level as the tour pros. So why do we think we can use the same equipment? When it comes to picking your clubs and going for a fitting, you want to pick the club that you can use the most consistently and that's going to give you the best shots. Not necessarily the one that looks the best or is the most fancy. So maybe you should leave those blades in the pro shop next time. Mistake number 6, only using wedges that match your full set. Now, irons like these are great for forgiveness, but when it comes to more specialist shots around the green, especially in the bunker, they're not really designed for that extra finesse. So using something like this isn't really going to help you out. What I would always advise is having one specialist wedge, more of a lob wedge style, that can help you out when you get in these tricky situations around the green. They're going to give you a lot more loft, they're going to help you get under the ball in terms of that lob shot or that bunker shot, and they're really just going to give you more control. It's just so much easier to get spin, control my distance and my strike with this. Mistake number 7, shortening your putter or overly changing the size and weight of the grip without getting a proper club fitter to look at it. You might think this one seems silly, but if you shorten the length of the shaft and if you put a grip that's a different weight to the one you had on before, you're going to change the whole swing weight and the balance of the club. Now, when we think about how many pace puts we have in a round, really having a well-balanced club is really important to be able to control that speed. So if you're going to shorten your club or change your grip, you really should be taking it to a specialist fitter who can check the swing weight and make sure it's balanced out correctly afterwards. Mistake number 8, using the wrong wedge grinds. I mean, do you even really know what a wedge grind is? It's the different cambering that we've got on the sole here, and it can really affect how you impact the club, especially on half and chip shots around the green. Now, you can get loads of varieties of grinds with every different brand, so there really is no excuse for getting this wrong. Now, it's worth noting this can change depending on the conditions of your course. If it's soft, you'll want a certain grind. If it's firm, you'll want a certain grind, but also on the way you swing it, if you're shallow or if you're steep. So really getting this right is going to really boost your performance around the greens. If you're someone who moves around, plays different golf courses, you might actually want different grinds in your different lofts, so it gives you different options. But really, the key here is going to get fit, talking to your club pro about this, and getting something that suits your game. Mistake number 9, not getting fit for a putter. It's the only club we use on every hole, unless you do something really miraculous. So why would you not get it fit? Now, a big thing here is going to be length. If you've got the wrong length putter, it's really going to affect your posture. The loft can also affect your shots too, because it's really going to affect how the ball starts rolling. What about the lie angle, and also the grip style, and even the type of shaft? And then we haven't even got onto the club head yet. Having a club head that really suits your eye, gives you the right level of forgiveness, and that you can line up to the hole is really key. So it's really worth spending some time with a specialist putter fitter or even your local club pro and finding something that really suits your needs. This is pretty good for me. Now, new equipment is great, but there's really only so much it can do. After all, that shiny new driver can't hit the golf ball for you. So if you really want to invest in your game, go ahead and get some lessons from your club pro.